The monarchy provides, with the Constitution, a degree of long-term stability that is actually quite hard to come by any other way.
There is a level of long-term security in monarchies that is hard to find elsewhere. The British Crown has stood for tradition, continuity, and an organization that lasts through political cycles and changes in public opinion for hundreds of years. But picture yourself as the Queen of England and being told you can't go into a certain place in the royal home. It sounds almost impossible, but people close to the royal family are said to have been talking about it behind closed court doors. Princess Anne, who is known for being determined and well-behaved, is said to have taken court action to protect a private part of the Sandringham estate. By doing this, she has stopped Queen Camilla from using that area as a private summer refuge at one of Britain's most beloved royal homes. Then what is going on behind the scenes? Why would one of the most respected and tough women in the British royal family draw such a clear line with the law right now? There is more to the answer than a disagreement over land. Before we can understand how important this clash is, we need to know what Sandringham means to the British monarchy. Sandringham is more than just a big country house. For the royal family, it is a place full of history and feeling. The Sandringham estate is in Norfolk, which is about 110 miles north of London. It is made up of about 20,000 acres of beautiful parkland. It was bought by Queen Victoria in 1862 as a gift for her son, who would become King Edward VII. Since then, it has been privately owned by the current king. This is a very important point because Sandringham does not belong to the government like Buckingham Palace or Windsor Castle does. The Crown Estate does not run it for the public good. It is instead private property that goes straight from one ruler to the next. While Queen Elizabeth II was still alive, in September 2022, King Charles III took ownership of Sandringham as his personal home. Sandringham has been a place of privacy and custom for the royal family for many years. It's where they all get together every Christmas, and it's also where Queen Elizabeth II spent her last days. Prince Philip decided to live quietly during his retirement at Wood Farm, a simple farmhouse on the estate grounds. Besides the main Sandringham house, the estate has many other ancient buildings spread out over the land. These are Wood Farm, Anmer Hall, which Prince William and Princess Catherine use, Park House, which is famous for being where Princess Diana was born, and a number of working farms that are still an important part of the estate's daily life. For many generations, the royal family used informal family agreements to control who could enter these houses. There were times when these were not written down in formal papers. Instead, they were based on family tradition, mutual respect, and understanding. But because of how complicated and tense the royal family is now, these old gentlemen's deals seem to be falling apart. Lawyers getting involved in royal property deals is often a sign that trust between people has started to break down. The tension surrounding the Sandringham argument can't be understood without looking at the problems that Princess Anne and Queen Camilla have had for a long time. This competition has been going on for a long time. Goes back several decades, in fact. A lot of news stories say that the tension between the two women goes all the way back to the 1970s, when Camilla Parker Bowles started dating Prince Charles. Eventually, that friendship led to the end of Charles's marriage to Princess Diana and caused a lot of fighting in the royal family. Princess Anne has always been known as one of the most devoted guardians of the royal family's traditional beliefs. A lot of people think she is the most hard-working royal because she often has more official events each year than any other top royal, and is strict, private, and very focused on her job. She almost never wants to be in the news or get attention from the public. A lot of people think of her as the monarchy's strong point. Camilla joined the royal family in a very different way. She was one of the most infamous people connected to the crown for a long time. This was especially true after Charles and Diana's divorce in the 1990s and early 2000s, when people had very bad feelings about her. But Camilla slowly worked to improve her public picture over time. People in Britain slowly came to accept her as a princess through charity work and a less public approach to royal life. Still, people who knew her have said for a long time that her relationship with Princess Anne stayed distant and sometimes tense. Several people inside the palace have said that their relationship is like a Cold War, where they are polite in public but have deep differences behind closed doors. One person who knows both Anne and Camilla says that Anne thinks Camilla sometimes goes beyond the scope of her job, and Camilla thinks that Anne lets her family ties cloud her judgment too much. It looks like the problem with Prince Andrew has made the current fight at Sandringham worse. Andrew was one of the most problematic members of the royal family after his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, who was found guilty of sex crimes. He used to be known as the Duke of York. The monarchy's image took a huge hit after his terrible TV interview about that friendship. Andrew was allegedly stripped of all of his royal titles and privileges by King Charles in October 2025. This further distanced the institution from the scandal. Andy had to leave Royal Lodge, which was near Windsor, and move to Wood Farm, which was much smaller, on the Sandringham estate. Andrew's 66th birthday, February 19, 2026, marked the start of an even more exciting event. That morning, police cars that weren't marked showed up at the Sandringham estate and searched both Wood Farm in Norfolk and Royal Lodge in Berkshire. Andrew was taken to a nearby police station and questioned for 11 hours before being let go while the police looked into what happened. Royal watchers all over the world were shocked by the arrest. It was the first time in hundreds of years that a sibling of the current king had been arrested by the police. In a short speech, King Charles said that the law should be followed. At this point, Princess Anne is said to have been one of the few family members who pushed for Andrew to be treated with some respect, even though he was involved in a scandal. She told him she was worried about his mental health and pushed for his family not to leave him totally. Several news sources say that Queen Camilla took a much tougher attitude because she thought that showing sympathy for Andrew could hurt the monarchy's reputation, which was already in bad shape. This disagreement about Andrew's position seems to have spread to the disagreement at Sandringham about property and access. Reports say that Princess Anne's lawyers took steps to make family agreements about some parts of the estate official. It's important to note that this action doesn't claim ownership of Sandringham. That still goes to King Charles. Instead, it formally confirms Anne's family's historical use rights to a certain wing of the estate that has been linked to her visits and private family activities. Large historic estates all over Britain have these kinds of agreements in place so that different family branches can use different parts of the land legally. By having lawyers write down these rights, Anne is making sure that these places can't be given to someone else without legal consideration. The time of this move is very important. Every summer, Sandringham is closed to the public for a few weeks so that the royal family can use the land alone. It was said that Queen Camilla was thinking about taking a longer summer vacation in one of the estate's quieter areas during this time. By making her family's rights to that part official, Princess Anne has pretty much stopped that from happening. Insiders say that Camilla was very upset with the decision, but Buckingham Palace has not said anything official about it. For Camilla, having her own place has always been important. She bought Ray Mill House in Wiltshire after her split from Andrew Parker Bowles in the 1990s and used it as her own country retreat for many years. That house was her safe place to live away from the heavy attention of royal life. According to new claims, she may have quietly given up ownership of that property as she became more involved with the royal family after Charles became king. Balmoral in Scotland is where the king usually stays in the summer, so Sandringham seemed like a good option place for Camilla to stay away from London and keep a quieter presence. The move Princess Anne made in court may have shut that door. By writing down how certain places have been used in the past, she has made a formal record that might be hard to change without talks. King Charles is in a very tough spot because of this situation. He already has to deal with a lot of personal and institutional problems, such as health issues and ongoing problems in the royal family. His relationship with his son Prince Harry is still tense, and the public's interest in the royal family keeps growing. He is now torn between his sister, who is one of his staunchest allies, and his wife, who has become an important part of his rule. According to people who are close to the court, Charles has decided to keep quiet for now in the hopes that things will calm down without a public fight. But when it comes to royal politics, keeping quiet doesn't always solve problems for good. Instead, it often puts them off until they can't be ignored any longer. The argument at Sandringham is no longer just a family fight. It is now part of the law that will determine how the land is used in the future. For many years, Sandringham has been seen as the most private of the royal homes. It was a place where the Windsor family could unwind when they weren't working. Queen Elizabeth II had a great love for the estate, and often said it was where she felt most at home. It has been the site of royal celebrations, quiet retirements, and times for the monarchs to think. But now it's the scene of a power struggle over loyalty, image, and how the royal family will be run in the future. It's been made clear by Princess Anne that she thinks the time of unofficial deals is over. By using official papers, she has set clear limits on the space her family occupies. There is still some disagreement about whether this move was protective or strategic, but there is no denying that it had an effect. Queen Camilla has spent decades putting up with public criticism and making her place in the royal family. She is not likely to take being pushed away without a fight. In the meantime, Prince Andrew is still at Wood Farm, where he is being questioned and is mostly cut off from public life. The whole thing adds more stress to a family that is already dealing with fights within itself and a lot of attention from the public. Sandringham has seen a lot of important events in royal history, from private family moments to national grief. In 2026, it has become the site of a quiet but important fight over power, loyalty, and the monarchy's future. Now the question is whether this argument will go away on its own inside the palace walls or whether it will escalate into a bigger fight that changes how people in the House of Windsor interact with each other.